Welcome, everybody, to the Beat Your Addiction podcast. I'm your co-host, Scott Jones, along with the man, John J. Giordano. I threw the J in there just because it makes your name cooler. I could say Dr. John.
Just don't call me late for lunch.
I will not call you late for lunch. And we do have a guest, but before we get into the guest, John, how's everything going? Real quick update. You know, you got JC Recovery, you got all these things going on in your life. How's everything?
Well, JC Recovery is doing really well. We're packed, actually.
That's great.
And that's a faith-based program, by the way, for those who don't know. Also, I'm doing in April. I'm lecturing at a wealth management group, about 25 doctors and entrepreneurs and all this kind of stuff, you know. And I'm doing a wellness thing. And then in October, I'm doing an international conference that's going to be webinared across Europe.
Wow.
So I'm the keynote speaker for addiction, mental health, and wellness.
That's up in like Orlando or something.
That's in Orlando, right? Yeah.
Beautiful, man. This is the stuff you love doing. You love sharing the message. It's not just about being in front of people. It's about sharing what you know, right?
Well, you know what it's all about is helping God's kids. And that's what this podcast is about. That's what we're doing here. We're giving you information, so please pass it on, okay? You don't have to agree or disagree. Just listen and see where you take it for yourself. We have a really cool guest, a new friend of mine, okay, who developed this platform for addiction and mental health. Welcome to AI. Welcome to the 21st century. Welcome to collecting data so we can improve treatment outcomes. And this is the gentleman that knows all about it. And this is Hayes.
This is Hayes Thomas, entrepreneur, works in tech and all sorts of things that you do. This is the time for these kind of applications to be used in treatment, mental health, and everything else, isn't it, Hayes?
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about what you developed and what you're working on.
Well, I've been involved in technology since 1977, 5 years before the IBM PC was ever introduced. I
didn't know there was technology in 1977. I thought my Evel Knievel stunt cycle was the peak of technology.
Well, back then it was called departmental processors.
Oh, okay.
Mini computers ran the world around Boston, the 128 loop. And the main companies were Digital Equipment Corporation, DEC, Data General, Prime, Wang, who invented the word processor. All these, departmental computers that basically became affordable for small businesses because nobody could afford a mainframe.
Right.
And time sharing was going by the way of the buggy whip.
Any of those companies still exist, or
They're
a lot
all
of them
gone.
fall by the wayside or get absorbed? Or...
Well, Sun Micro, it doesn't exist anymore, but bottom line, they were the long game and all that, the workstation business. Unix really it's all based on operating systems, and that's really what happened is the PC destroyed the entire departmental processing business because of all the applications that were enabled through MS-DOS and Windows and Apple's iOS.
No, tell them what you developed for the hotel industry so they can see how they can segue into what you're doing with the recovery.
Well, back when our buddy Al Gore invented the internet, hotels could now go direct to consumers to sell hotel rooms.
Okay.
Basically, how many people use a travel agent these days?
Yeah, I don't even know if they even exist anymore.
Well, when you go to Europe, you really need one.
Okay.
I have one.
But for domestic travel, you go right to the internet and you go to Kayak or any of these, Expedia or whatever, what we call online OTAs, online travel agents that book all this stuff. But basically, we got into the hotel software business building a new type of technology called electronic CRM, which was the ability for the hotel to really understand who their customer was. People don't go to Miami to stay in a hotel room. They go for some reason. Is it leisure, vacation, business? And what do you do when you arrive? Do you like to shop? Do you like to golf? Do you like to boat? Do you like to fish?
All right.
Do you like to come down for the arts festival? What do you like to do? And when you build a profile on people, you can then market one-to-one to them and find out how to get them back more often. Because once they've touched you, tasted you, experienced you, you have credibility. So when you receive that email from a hotel saying, hey, come back in March, your favorite time, we got your favorite room ready, the Italian restaurant you love, we got reservations for you, the golf tee times are there, and bring your family at 25% off. And it's all about value, giving that value and making it easy for people to make a decision.
And it's individualized so that you're not saying, hey, come to our Brazilian steakhouse to a vegetarian.
Right.
You're trying to find out what their interests are, and then
it's all based on interests.
So I bet you guys are wondering, what does this have to do with the recovery? Well, now watch how he segues into the recovery industry, which is really interesting because everything has to do with data. Okay, the more information that we have, the better treatment we can give, the better outcomes we can do. So he developed this technology that he uses, this platform, which is really cool. Why don't you just tell me about your platform then?
Well, my good friend and colleague that helped me start this entire initiative almost 11 years ago, his name is William C. Head, known as Bubba. He's a big DUI lawyer out of Atlanta. And when he and I met and he found my background and discovered what I'd done, he said, this really could help play for the addiction industry, because it's all about finding out why people use. Addiction, nobody likes drinking alcohol for the taste of ethyl alcohol, right?
Right.
Nobody likes sticking a needle in their arm, right? They're looking for the escape.
Mm-hmm.
And why do they need to escape? They can't deal with life on life's terms. So everybody that has a substance use disorder is basically looking to use that as a crutch to escape. So it's like peeling an onion. The same way we profile people, why they go to a certain destination and do things to market the hotel rooms better, to provide more value. Now we look at the addiction issue, and it's peeling that onion and finding out, why do you really use? Okay. So the issue is you've got a major problem here where, the government spends $1 trillion a year trying to figure out the addiction problem in the United States. The bottom line is, if you're having an overdose, you're calling 911, right?
Yeah.
So they send out the first responders, and hopefully they revive you and you get over your issue, whatever it is. But then everything stops, right? So the next thing is you continue to use, and probably you're going to get in trouble from it. Either a DUI, like Bubba, orchestrates through his challenges, or maybe you're, robbing a gas station to get money to pay for your habit.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't die from it, you're probably going to end up in the court or the legal system or in prison, right? So if you pass those two gates, if you don't die from it, if you escape the legal system, or you get out of the legal system and you continue to use, you're probably going to end up in rehab. Because everybody thinks rehab's the answer. Oh, I'm going to go to rehab for 30 days and I'm sick and I'm going to come out fixed. But the issue is, with rehab, 98% of people will relapse within 2 weeks after leaving inpatient rehabilitation, which is an unacceptable statistic. Wouldn't you agree, John?
Absolutely. First of all, it's too short of a time. Also, along with coincide with what you're doing, is there are medical conditions besides trauma, besides inner child stuff. We're not following people. We don't know. They're searching for dopamine and serotonin. So, and Dr. Blum coined the phrase RDS, reward deficiency syndrome. So we're not following people. Nobody knows what the heck's going on with them as soon as they leave treatment. And 30 days is a joke anyway. Your brain is damaged from drugs and alcohol. So what are we doing? We keep doing the same things over and over again, expecting different results.
So what's the name of this project or program that you have?
It's an entire platform.
Okay.
Called Wingman.
Wingman
for Recovery. And it all started about 11 years ago when Alexa was coming out. And I actually lost my wife to this disease, cirrhosis of the liver. And because of my hotel software business, I was living on a plane. We went from one hotel in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, to thousands of hotels around the world. So I was living on a plane, flying to Asia and Europe. And so drinking too much, eating too much, boozing too much, gained almost 375 pounds.
Wow.
Right. That was my weight in 2012. Had the gastro sleeve surgery, lost 150 pounds. But now I can't drink anymore because my body cannot process alcohol. So I have to go into recovery. I have the same issues. It's called cravings. Addiction is twofold. It's a bodily allergy that the rehabs do help with through detox and realization that you have a problem. But the ongoing problem is that overwhelming obsession of craving. It comes back and it never leaves you. You never graduate from this disease, right? My disease is doing push-ups in the parking lot, just waiting for me to get weak again and relapse, right? The little devil told me I could do it. Oh, you can have one, you can handle it, right? That never goes away. There's all sorts of different circumstances you're going to be in that remind you of the situation that you could use and get away with it.
And it hides with other addictions.
Right. And it wants to get you alone and isolate you.
So let's do something just so that we can all understand. I mean, John, really the only real electronic advancement that we've had with helping people in recovery and treatment over the years has been the EMR, electronic medical records, which allows us to share information faster and easier and to keep more accurate records. There hasn't been a lot of stuff like this. So this is kind of different. Let's talk about Bobby. Bobby will be our person with an addiction. How would this benefit Bobby personally, and how would it benefit the rehab that Bobby is going to?
Okay, so I'll be Bobby, right?
All right.
And I'll access the app.
All right.
Right here, Wingman, and I'll talk to Wingman. I need a drink.
Recite the Serenity Prayer, meditate on it, then recite it again.
I really want some whiskey.
If you really think you want to use, then this is a time for rigorous honesty. Who wants?
All right, where's the liquor store?
I understand your frustrations and desires. I know it may seem like you are in a tight tunnel, with only one path that leads directly to the liquor store, and all else is dark.
Maybe you can help me with some distractions.
How about something to get your mind off of where you are?
Now, does this learn and start to understand its user as you use it? Like starts to understand it. If they know you play the guitar, it might say, hey, why don't you go grab your guitar and play some music or something? Does it do that too?
That's the machine learning.
So it is doing that.
That's what we call generative AI. As you build your profile, the more you talk to Wingman, the more it learns about you. It understands your triggers. It understands how to help you over these issues of the obsession of craving, this overwhelming need to use. This craving lasts anywhere from 5 to 25 minutes, typically. You can talk to Wingman 7/24, 365 at no cost to you.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out how you're going to get Siri on the payroll, John.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out. They want healthcare. That's the problem.
But this is just the front end.
Right.
What this does is it engages the user to allow them to know that somebody's always there. It's all about, with addiction, it's about eliminating the excuses.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got an excuse. Oh, I had a great day. Let's party. I had a terrible day. Oh, I need, somebody to sob on. There's 40 million reasons why people want to use. Everybody's got a great excuse.
Well, you know what's interesting about it? That people don't like to talk to people sometimes when they're feeling that way, but they'll talk to the phone. they'll talk to the app much easier than they would talk to somebody else.
Non-judgmental, right here.
Yes, that's a great point, John, especially with the younger people.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that somebody who's in their 60s or 70s is going to pick up on that quickly, although some will, some might. But with the new generation, this might be the tool that they need.
Well, the key is you've got generative AI out there. We know who all the players are. There's 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. And new ones coming on board every day.
Now, generative AI is basically it's computers that have the ability to learn.
Well,
Right.
ChatGPT and all that kind of stuff.
Gemini,
Yeah.
DeepSeek, all these, people that have been building these models, large language models, is what they basically.
What got me interested in what Hayes is doing, besides the app, is that most treatment centers, they drop you off, and this is really like an alumni. This is where people could stay connected to recovery, where we can track them.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we could see, it's a learning app. So we could see where the pitfalls are and come up with solutions, I believe, to help them even better.
Now, you said track them. Does this stay connected to the treatment center as well, so that when somebody's out there using the app, they know that the person's okay?
First of all, we're HIPAA compliant.
Right.
So everything that you talk to Wingman about, or you input through curriculums that we make available, anything you do, any action, interaction with Wingman is your private data.
Okay.
Until you give permission to a third party on what you want them to hear or know about what you're doing to work your recovery, it's all right here encapsulated in your private.
Another way, guys, your information is protected. That's what HIPAA compliance is.
But even further, the AI that we use has built guardrails into the system to always encourage you, be non-judgmental, supportive. The problem with generative AI models today is they'll tell you on point what's going on, generally most of the time, but then they also go into hallucinations. If you went into ChatGPT and asked them about what is Wingman, it would give you few paragraphs directly on what we do, but then another couple pages on stuff that we've never even thought about. And that's ChatGPT or these large language models going into these hallucinations, trying to come up with even more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are actually pretty good ideas. But the bottom line is, what do you know is accurate and what do you know is not accurate?
Right.
And by building guardrails into these models, we can keep you from going off the edge. It's like, I need a drink. Well, DoorDash can have a 6-pack at your front door in 15 minutes. Click here to buy, right? We don't want that happening, right?
Yeah. I got it. But John, this cannot replace the human factor and the connections you need. However, it could just be that boost on those times when you don't have connection.
What it does is it gives people an alternative.
Right.
People that are introverted, people that don't want to call or talk to anybody. So, but that's only one piece of this program. The rest of it is it's a learning program. So we're at, correct me if I'm wrong, by the way.
No. So the platform starts with the natural language capability to talk to somebody.
Okay.
And really get over
that alone is awesome.
Right.
Even if you just stop there, that's awesome.
So
what else do you do?
So that basically identifies for the user himself that he might have a real problem, or might also identify for the rehab industry, here is a prospective candidate that they might want to talk to. Furthermore, when that candidate does go into recovery, then there's a whole workflow management system, our platform, because everybody in the recovery business is still working out of the shoebox. There's a standard curriculum published by SAMHSA, the Matrix. It's a 300-page manual on early sobriety, recovery methods, and relapse prevention. Okay. But when you go to an outpatient or an inpatient clinic, it's like you get fire hosed on this stuff. And then you leave and, we can't remember in 30 days or even 6 months of going to outpatient, all these tricks and techniques. It's got to be constantly engaged, constantly reinforced, constantly reminding you of what you need to do. And what our system does is it provides curriculums for these rehabs so that everything is in one place. The counselors can go through their portal and assign homework. All the handouts are in the app. Everything they do in therapy, be it individual or group, is all in one place for the patient to use, for the counselor to administrate. And when the patient does the homework or the assignments, it all comes back through our system in first person, which can then be distributed into any other third-party application, which saves the counselor 4 or 5 hours a day in administrative overhead. The productivity increases tremendously for the rehab business.
It's like an alternative chart. Just like it's like another a focus on all the information into one place, so they're not all over the place.
It's basically what the word processor did to the typewriter. Okay, everybody in the addiction recovery business is still working on an IBM Selectric typewriter. We are now introducing Microsoft Word. The ability to cut and paste alone speeds up productivity tremendously. But then to take stuff that's already built and go in and modify it saves all sorts of time. And all this homework that's done online comes through to the counselor, and it's like they get their entire life back and spend more time engaging with the patient on the critical therapy the patient needs, rather than doing the overhead of the administrative backlog.
John, I mean, I've heard your story once or twice a day for years. No, you started out with 12-step programs, and then you got involved in the rehab stuff, and you started mixing Eastern and Western medicine. You got involved in holistic medicine, science-based stuff. You're constantly looking, where does this rank in the importance moving forward? Where are you going to put this in your brain?
We have to start coordinating all this information into one place where we can start improving treatment outcomes. Aftercare is key. And what this does is it follows through with aftercare with the client as well.
And it has the flexibility to address all different types of curriculum methodologies. For example, postpartum women, right? Women that have been separated from their families and their babies because of their addiction. And they might have a question like, well, should I add alcohol to my baby's formula to help them sleep better? And our AI responds that no, alcohol is not a good idea, because it not only disturbs your sleeping, but you definitely don't want to, add it to your formula. Talk to your doctor about how to get your baby over the withdrawals.
I always thought a good scotch with my Enfamil when I was a kid really helped me out, but I follow what you're saying.
For the platform to chuck and jive like that, to any type of behavioral health, implication, because addiction is all over the place.
Yeah,
you've got rich people, poor people, people in the middle, people in the middle of that. Everybody has a different issue. And for the platform to be able to be flexible enough to address that, and counselors can do it on their own, just like you go in a word processor and cut and paste or change a document to what they need to get done in their challenges, is unbelievably powerful.
Well, what's interesting is this. A lot of times people don't want to call people because they don't want to bother them, which is baloney, but that's what they say.
Yeah.
Okay, when you want to use, if you could talk to someone or something, okay, and have them have a communication with. Look what's going on with robots and androids. They got sex bots. They got this bots. They got that. The world is changing, and if we don't change with it, we're going to fall behind, which we're already behind. So this technology will help us bring up to the 21st century and beyond, I believe.
And that comes into the third part of the platform, where all this data is written into an immutable database, aka the blockchain.
All right.
It's like getting a canceled check back.
Well, tell them what a blockchain is, because a lot of people may not know about that.
Okay. Blockchain is a very simple technology. Everybody is like blown away by crypto, and nobody trusts it. And, there's nothing behind Bitcoin. Well, at the end of the day, there is something incredibly behind. It's called the blockchain. I first got involved and interested in the blockchain when I found out in 2014 that people were saying blockchain can cure world poverty. Well, how the heck can it do that? Well, at the end of the day, after understanding that, I got into thinking, well, how can it help addiction? Well, the idea with addiction is you never remember all the good things that you're doing to try to sustain your recovery. You only get called out for the things that you did bad. All the relapses, the car crashes, the loss of credibility, the lies, all the things that go with the stigma of addiction and an addict. But when we write everything into a blockchain, basically the data goes in, and through consensus, through everybody, it's like looking at your checkbook. Checkbook is a centralized ledger. A blockchain is a decentralized ledger. If you look in your checkbook, you know how much money you've got, but you can still write checks all day, and you got a couple of weeks before people catch up with you, right?
Yeah.
But in a blockchain, it's a decentralized ledger. You have many, many people looking at your checkbook saying, okay, John, you can write that check because you got enough money to cover it, right? That's called consensus. So you write that check, it goes to the bank, it clears the bank, you get it back. There's no way you can change that transaction. That's immutable data. That's what a blockchain is. And when a block fills up, because they're only 1 gig or 2 gig or 3 gig in size, depending on the blockchain, then they close the block where the commissions get paid to the miners, which are the ones that process all the transactions for the block. And then they open a new block. It's like you ran out of room in your check register. You throw it in the file cabinet. You open a new check register or a new checkbook. You transfer your balance and you chain it together because it's all in the file cabinet. It's all related. So when a block fills up and then you open a new block, they're all chained together, AKA the blockchain.
So that's why, see, what it is to simplify it is it's following the transaction always to the end.
Exactly.
And beyond.
Exactly. So when you look at things like Bitcoin, people don't understand it. There's nothing behind it. Well, what's behind Bitcoin?
There's nothing behind that dollar either, but that's another story.
Exactly. I can 300-page books about that. But at the end of the day, inflation and money, right? That's the hidden tax. The government wants us to believe that 2 + 2 can equal 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe even 9 now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with a blockchain, 2 + 2 will always equal 4. Period. And that brings credibility and a store of value to Bitcoin, which is why it's so popular.
And John, we were at G&G. God, how long ago is that now?
Well, we sold in 2012. So
Yeah.
You guys were there.
13 years ago.
Yeah.
But while we were at G&G together, you and I, there was this big thing. We've got to start doing back-end data on these clients and success rates and different things. And we started talking about that 13 years ago. And he said, insurance companies are going to demand outcome studies and this and that.
That's
And
why I did the
guess what?
outcome.
13
That's why
years
we did
later-
the outcome study.
Right. We started doing it, but nobody's doing it. And I think it's because I'm not sure why we're not doing that. Is this something that can really lend itself to finally doing real outcomes and really tracking progress?
Well, the first step is writing everything to a blockchain. Becomes immutable. That means the data has full integrity.
Right.
Okay. So when you get into stuff like big data studies.
Is that your book?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, this is a book that was written about 10, 12 years ago. Nobody really understands big data.
All right.
They think it's just a bunch of data, right? But really, big data is
Data is information for those who may not know what that is.
Right. But big data is all based on unstructured data.
All right.
And this is another podcast for another time. But at the end of the day, big data studies allow you to understand trends. They can actually understand when a pandemic is about to start or why an emergency is happening, weather patterns, all sorts of incredible clues and understanding come from big data studies.
It's watching trends is what actually is.
But let me tell you where the blockchain really hits home with understanding addiction. How many people are in the court systems dealing with addiction-related crimes? How many judges are getting how many dockets are full and people are coming up to the judge for their decision, and the advocacy officer hands them a stack of papers and says, well, she's been doing all this and doing all that, and she really needs a break, give her some mercy. So the judge spends 10, 20 minutes looking through all this, and he picks out one item and he says, how can I know that she really did this? Okay. Well, by doing everything in Wingman, and writing to that immutable database, if you go to today in my rewards, we have digital asset rewards based on everything you've ever done to sustain your recovery, to work your recovery.
What does asset rewards mean?
Digital rewards, digital assets.
Okay, what are the rewards?
It's basically, well, the rewards are based on everything you've done, curriculums you've accomplished.
What kind of rewards?
It's just a number. It's like gold stars, or it's like a grade.
It's proof. It's proof to the judge that you've actually done this,
Okay,
and it gives you a list of everything you've done.
So that's the rewards.
Like,
okay, got
remember when Judge Wapner used to say, "Did you bring your receipt?"
Yeah.
Oh, no receipt. I'll be right back with my decision. Well, here's your receipt. Everything I've been doing. Okay. This allows the judges to make better decisions, better judgments, better outcomes for people that need a second chance. We have people that have gone in front of some of the most difficult judges in the state and the counties, and they see this. And instead of we had one gal looking at 24 years of incarceration for her 11 addiction-related felonies. She got 3 years probation, as long as her parole officer got updates from Wingman on a weekly basis.
So that's
game-changing stuff.
Absolutely. So let me ask you a question. How long has this been actually functioning in the world?
Yeah. We've been building this platform for 11 years.
I know, but how many implementation? I mean, how many?
Oh, it's available. It's our most valuable, what they call MVP, was released 6 years ago. It's available on all the your phone's app stores. Just go to your iOS, Apple phone store, or the Play Store, Android. It works on any device that has a browser or native iOS or Droid.
And what does it cost?
Well, there are different ways that you can pay for it. We have solo journey programs that the user can access around $20 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But then when you go to a recovery center, that will be implemented through their facility, and they can use our system in their alumni programs and add more value to it. And whatever they put into that is their value, and they adjust the price any way they want. But and we also have scholarship programs for people that can't afford even $20 a month. If they're working, if they're doing the work, and it's being proved right here, they qualify for scholarships to use this ongoing. So we want to make it, attainable for everybody out there that's in need.
So for those out there that are wondering about all this, this is a labor of love. This is not only about making money and all that. It's a labor of love. And, like you had what happened with your wife, what happened to myself and my kids and so many different people. We want to give back to society, okay? Money is great and all that stuff. I'm not downplaying making money, but if it doesn't have any substance behind it, where you're actually giving back to society and actually helping somebody other than yourself, what an empty existence.
Well, our platform allows everybody in the industry to benefit from the platform for them to specialize in exactly what they do and not worry about all the other issues, because there's trillions of issues that come up in a lifelong sustained recovery initiative.
Of course, yes. I mean, it's
Wingman.
I think people in regular life can use this
as long as
thing,
you're
right?
receiving value from Wingman, you could virtually use it for the rest of your life. And that's the AI combined with the curriculums and the blockchain, create a blockchain network that keeps evolving as you go through year 1 of recovery, year 2 of recovery, year 3, year 10, year 20. Doesn't matter whether you're an old timer, a new timer, or a mid timer. The bottom line is Wingman, because of your interaction, understands your challenges and issues at the time, at that point of your recovery, and helps you deal with them on a basis where there's no judgment, there's no expectation. It's you working your program at your pace.
And remember, it's gathering information from everyone that uses Wingman. So you got some powerful information. It's like when I wrote one of my books, How to Beat Your Addictions and Live a Quality Life. I interviewed a couple of hundred addicts, alcoholics, gamblers, different addiction people that I felt had good recovery, not just quitting the substance or the behavior, but actually was living a lifestyle of recovery. I wanted to know what they did and what they didn't do. And then I interviewed about 100, 150 chronic relapses, people that kept on relapsing over and over again. I wanted to know what they did and what they didn't do. And I put that into the book, plus my own stuff into the book. So that's like kind of like baby data gathering, I guess you would call it, right? But this is so much more advanced. That's why I wanted Ace on the show to say, hey, look, this is where the future is. And the more information you have, the better outcomes you're going to have.
We're taking all that investment and work and trials and tribs that you went through interviewing all those people and putting into an app that puts it at people's fingertips.
That's right.
So this will aggregate all the experiences of all the users.
Exactly.
But will still protect their personal information.
Unless they get
the experience, it will record and share with, with the entire
counselors.
Yeah.
Who's the biggest support vehicle for the addict during their entire life?
It depends on the person, but it could be a
sponsor, it could be a church, it could be a
therapist,
friend, a therapist,
friends.
Yeah.
But what about the family?
Right. In some cases,
we always say the families are sicker than the clients.
Okay. I mean, and it could be because there's curriculums for the family to understand.
Oh, really? Okay.
How to deal with the addict that is ruining their life. What does the first step of Al-Anon say? Anybody?
I don't know. Not an Al-Anon.
I admitted I was out of control over the addict in my life that's ruining my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I admitted I have a problem because every time that Hayes leaves, I don't know where he's going. I don't know who's going to hurt, who's going to run over. He's going to get in a car accident. Right. So what we do in the app, you go right into what we call My Journey, and you access the curriculums. Okay, and over here is something called Advocates. Okay, new advocate, right? Put their name in, their email, their relation, whether I approve they get it, or if I want to go in and take them out of my network, everything they can get on me, right? And I create it and then I sign it right there with my thumb, with my finger, and it goes into the database. And all of a sudden, that advocate, that friend, that family becomes part of your network, and they're getting updates as to how you're working your recovery.
Wow.
For example, we had an addict release his information to his wife, and she got a report on how he had planned his work through one of our curriculums. And she said, I am so incredibly blown away by how he realizes this is going to ruin his professional career. But I was so sad to see how he doesn't realize how it's hurt his family. So now the addict gets a report back from her saying, you don't really understand how you've hurt your family. And it's bringing the family back together with the addict so they can heal together. How many addicts don't really realize what they're doing to the people around them? Because this is my disease, this is my problem.
Yeah.
But when the family becomes an interactive support vehicle, as well as the friends, when you're out in real life, dealing with life on life's terms every day, and you have a support mechanism of friends and family around you that understand what you're going through, the challenges you're dealing with, and you're reaching out for help is a sign of strength. The family doesn't understand this. The addict doesn't understand this. But when you use technology to bring those together and you reduce the friction on both sides, that becomes an overwhelming support mechanism that carries you for the rest of your life.
That's awesome. I want people to know you can go to wingman4recovery.com. That's Wingman, the number 4, recovery.com. You'll learn more about what's going on with this stuff, find out how you can get it. And I just want to make it really clear. You could do an ROI, release of information for a treatment center so they can track you if you want. You could do it for family members so they could track you.
Absolutely.
But you could pull it at any time as well.
Absolutely.
This is completely under the user's
Absolutely.
control. If it's not working for them with this person having their information, they can cut it off. They could do that. So it's always in their hands and their control, correct?
Even greater than
Very
that.
important.
Absolutely. That they have that ability. But let's say you relapse when you've been through therapy and now you're back in therapy, but you've been using Wingman. The new rehab can look at your entire history and see what the old rehab did to understand. They don't have to start peeling the onion from scratch. They can go right into the specific
That's
problem.
interesting you said that.
That
because
is.
see, the treatment centers don't bother looking at the previous treatments that the person had and where they went with it and what they did. This is, guys, this is such an important tool that we're bringing here on How to Beat Your Addictions here podcast. Please share this information with everybody. Look, you don't have to agree. You don't have to do whatever you want. At least don't have contempt prior to investigation. Go look. Check this out. This is a very interesting platform, a tool that really help. Hayes put a lot of time and money into this because he really wants to help God's kids. So this is a labor of love. It's not anything other than that. So please pass this information on.
And Hayes, I want to thank you for taking the time to come out and see us today. And obviously, this is the kind of topic we could revisit this several times and talk about different areas and maybe be more specific on the business end and more specific on the end user end and do all of that. Hard to get everything in a half-hour show.
Well, today's a general overview.
Yes.
We can come back and now drill down into specific areas.
Absolutely. Now, people can go to wingman4recovery.com.
That's
find
the
out
number
more.
4. That's the number 4.
Yes, thank you. It's right there on the screen. They can read a whole lot more about what you're doing and really see samples of what's going on, right?
Absolutely.
So we want people, encourage people to do this. Listen, it's new technology, it's new stuff, but at one point somebody looked at the wheel and said, I'm never going to use that damn thing. We have to evolve and we have to change. And John,
it's constantly,
your whole journey's been evolving, John.
It's constantly improving because
Yes.
it also improves itself, I believe.
Creeping excellence.
That's right.
There we
Creeping
go.
excellence. I like that. Creeping excellence.
There we go.
All right.
I know everybody gets a little freaked out sometimes when we use words AI, which are actually not words, letters. Sorry. When we use the letters AI, people start to freak out. They get scared. It's just the way the future is. And there are some applications of AI that maybe you don't agree with, but there are plenty out there that maybe you will agree with. This might be one of them. Check it out. Wingman4recovery.com. John, another great show.
Absolutely.
Good to see you, my friend.
Listen, we keep bringing information to this horrible disease that destroys families and our youth in this country. And that's what this podcast is all about. So welcome also. Thank you, JC's Recovery Center. It's a faith-based program. If you're interested in that, come give us a call. See if we can help you and your family. Thank
Simple. jcrecoverycenter.com. You can find out more about what John's doing over there. You could also go to johnjgiordano.com and learn about all the things that John does, including check out his books. The kid from the South Manhattan who I'm kidding. Kid from the South Bronx who never gave up. Great.
The real Bronx tale right here.
The
There
real
you go.
Bronx
There
tale.
you
That's
go.
right. That's right. In the movie when they threw the guy off the roof, John was the one down there saying, I got you. No, I don't. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. Please subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share this with your friends and leave your comments. It's really important to us. For John Giordano, our guest, Hayes Thomas, I'm Scott Jones. Everyone out there, have a great day.
Have a blessed
Thanks,
day.
guys.